Kwa chokora?
Yeah, I was at chokora for some good time.
Jioni unarudi kwenyu?
Yeah, Jioni I could go back home because
Where do you bathe?
Yeah?
Unaoga wapi? Ama una sneak tu?
I really don't want to know, but it was always with me. But the gist of this is this. When I got myself to become a street child, and even for some days actually I would go and spend even 3 days outside, just being in the streets, picking up plastic and metal pieces
and getting paid,
just sleep on the streets at times.
Where is your mother? Where is your father?
They were there.
Did they even were they looking for you?
Yeah, they were looking for me, but again ilikuwa never because at times I couldn't spend at home. But ningepotea the following day nionekane mtaani, of course question nikionekana.
So they just believe you're okay.
Just believe I'm okay and stuff.
So you personally were feeling life is good, you're comfortable and everything?
Life was good to me, I would say, because
in the streets
I was enjoying and too I was loving it. As opposed to school, there was no Swahili, there was no pressure, there was no but go-getting attitude, And
so just a question. Yeah. So is it true that this Kiswahili can be a real problem to people from other part of this country?
Really depends because in the pool of my friends that we went with to school, while I found English so easy to me, they found it a challenge to them.
Okay.
While they flourished so much in Swahili, I found it a very, very big challenge.
Or was it the mentality that you grew up with? Like, where did it come from?
I really don't know. But I woke to my senses when I was 31, and Swahili was just hard and tough.
Okay.
I can't tell any history of having it previously.
Okay.
But that was the situation. So in 2010, when I established myself, and I would say I became a staunch street child, and I would spend days off in the streets, without coming home, and so
school now going.
School now. Yeah, we could eat because from the scrap things, you could get money, you go eat, and so but that pleasure of having money comes with the pleasure of you being independent, Like, I would need to go back to my parents to ask for money for food and stuff.
So maybe just a short discussion in line with what we are speaking about, because maybe I might not get someone to ask this. You, as your experience in that being a street boy, what, like, simulikuwa mnakutana mnasema mbona umetoka home umetoka home. What are some of the reasons why these kids decide to be street boys, apart from your yako?
Too many reasons. Of course, others are genuine reasons, others are not genuine reasons. But a better part of it, was just for the reason that I don't love school. I can't maintain the pressure in school, and such reasons.
Yeah.
But the obvious reasons for the young bracket aged individuals like you are, was that if you are doing it, if he's doing it, and we're able to have money, we're able to rule ourselves, like normal. We are away from our parents, and so like we were enjoying. So that was it, and that merited my establishment in that.
Okay. So another question: does it mean that the parents being so strict sometimes affects kids' mentality and affects how they make their decisions? Because home, at least nowadays, but kitambo, they were so much strict on their kids, in line of wanting their kids, the best for their kids. So from this experience, did it mean that it was not the right way?
Yes or no are verbal answers. For reasons one, the back to what I mentioned earlier, that every other single parent knows the value of education.
Yeah.
And so, as a parent, I would love to have my child of my children, walk through the paths of education.
Yeah.
Whether they went to school, whether they don't go to school, but at least there is some, some value for education.
Yeah.
That is already there, and we really want to achieve this value for education. But the fact that a parent's, attempt to discipline the child in the event they fail,
Mm.
that doesn't mean that the parents failed, you know, to train up their children or
Yeah,
to
yeah.
discipline their children.
Mm.
But largely there are factors that you know that really determine
Mm.
whatever comes forth, because two scenarios, we have weak parents, or refer to them as weak parents,
Mm.
who perhaps, you know, struggle even to, you know, have a meal on the table.
Yeah,
Yeah, and so they even struggle with their children,
Mm.
and the children had the opportunity to heed
Mm.
to them,
Mm.
but they failed.
Yeah, true.
Equally, we have parents who are, you know, well established, you know, they're able to cut off everything that the child needs,
Mm.
they're able to do everything.
Mm.
They're able, those parents who take their, you know, their pupils
Mm.
to prestigious schools like I was in.
Yeah.
And so, you know, they instill discipline in the children, but still
They
it doesn't
fail.
it doesn't work out for them, you know.
Mhm.
But largely it's the environment
Mm.
within which a particular child is able to grow,
Mm.
because the environment really influences a lot.
A lot.
Apparently in our neighborhood,
Mm.
you know, we the chokora, you know, merchandise
Mm.
was so prevalent,
Mm.
and unfortunately, of course, out of no control,
Mm.
most of my peers
Mm.
in the neighborhood had gotten off, you know, the hands of and the control of their parents.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So you were maniac.
that
It
had
was the
a,
style of the season.
that had a grand influence into my upbringing.
Okay.
I don't know why it was on me,
Mm.
but perhaps it could be the reason for the story that I'm yet to tell
Mm.
about the good news,
Mm.
because I had an elder sister, I had a younger sister
Mm.
who were taken to the same school, brought up with the same parents, the
Mm.
same measure of discipline, in the same neighborhood, but they didn't behave
The way you
like
were.
I did. Interestingly.
So it's like you just it's just something different.
Yeah. So then 2 months into the scrap metal merchandise, and then 2 months as a street boy, you know,
Mm.
away from home, away from my parents, you know,
Mm.
and then it was always it appeared to be declassified
Mm.
that I now dropped out of school officially.
Mm.
So
Young money.
I bore no shame for it, you know.
Mm.
I went there roaming in the streets, you know, in the scrap metal merchandise and stuff.
Mm.
And even my relatives, you know, who
Were
were aware, because we
Oh,
could
God.
meet in the streets, and I was a young
You
boy,
asked Chen Bob.
and I still proved to be tough and difficult
Mm.
to believe in and even to deal with.
Mm.
That is in the year 2010.
Mm.
And so when now all efforts, even, you know, at some point I was reported to the police, you know, to the area, the local administrators,
Mm.
that I was becoming a bad boy in the estate, but still I made my way through
Mm.
to become a bad boy.
Mm.
And so that was it for a better part
And you made
of my
trying to
childhood.
become a bad boy. Seriously.
Yeah, for a better part of my
Chief
childhood.
amai kukuchapa.
No.
Hukushikwa.
Kangeza nishika, because you know the bad boys, they are too slippery. They make
Mm.
mistakes, but
Mm.
it's too difficult to get them.
Okay.
Too difficult to get them, because if they walked away
Mm.
in the sight of their parents who
You
stay
can't
with them,
manage them.
how really would you manage them? So
Seriously?
it was quite a tough one for them
Mm-hmm.
to be able to contain us, you know, to be able to, you know, cut us to size,
Mm.
and basically that's how I got away with it
Wow.
to that particular level.
That is a comprehensive story.
Interestingly,
Mm-hmm.
in the year 2007, when I was 34,
Mm.
we happened to have had the general election,
Mm, yeah.
and in that year when we had the general election,
Mm.
of course the anxiety
Mm.
that comes with the presidential elections
Mm.
and the election skirmishes, the post-election violences
Mm.
and such.
Mm.
And so those are some of the areas that I could flourish then.
Mm.
Bearing in mind
Mm.
that at 31 in 2004,
Mm.
I had lost the vibe to go to school
Yeah.
already,
Yeah.
and so I was starting to be a bad boy.
Mm.
So this is what happened.
Mm.
During the post-election period,
Mm.
one of my good cousins who keep refreshing my mind tells me to date that you go into one of the magazines of the time, and I featured in the headlines. I featured in the
God
headlines.
who can save souls, huh?
And while I featured in the headlines,
What was the headline saying?
it was not once, but I actually featured twice. One, in a supermarket looting.
Nda kuibia mtu.
Yeah, because that was the order of the day. And two,
Time ya election violence.
time election violence.
So those things were real. You were entering in people's businesses and speaking things.
Yeah, they were real. I remember I moved to second floor of the former Taskis and picked up some box of sugar. But then I didn't walk away with it, definitely. Yeah, because of the movements, the stampede here and there.
Na sasa bunduki ingekugonga karibu.
I know.
You didn't fear.
There are guys who perished, but it's
You're a bad boy.
I was a bad boy then.
So okay.
So then
that was the first one. The second one, but ukishika nini?
The second one, I was caught up on the cameras. In some flat that belonged to some windy somewhere. And so we were doing breakages, and the boys in the streets, we were vandalizing the property. And so I was caught up at the fourth floor. I was caught up at the fourth floor. Apparently the room we were in happened to have been an electric door, and so it closed.
What?
And opening it was a bit of a challenge.
Na kamera ikawashika hapo ndani.
Yeah, the camera caught us kama at the ground. Kulikuwa na GSU officers, they were coming to save, the spoilages that we were causing. But many people, managed to escape.
Ulipata injury yoyote?
No,
You're a bad boy.
I was a bad boy. I'm a good boy.
Oh, you are a bad boy.
Yeah. So then generally it was very messy for me.
Yeah.
For my
and that's what
childhood.
also gives the ground of those tabia mbaya.
Like I was the origin. At some point, I was nicknamed Osama bin Laden, Saddam Hussein.
In your village, in the place you live.
In the estate actually.
Oh, God.
So
how are the neighbors taking it when you walk with their kids?
They don't really take it it's really a bad thing, but in the large view of society and perhaps the general accepted code of behavior, it wasn't good.
Yeah.
But again, on the flip hand, parents and everyone in the society had to agree to the fact that it necessarily doesn't mean that they lost control over their children. But largely, whatever happens in the environment, and that we've swept so strong.
Yeah.
And so it moved with me again.
Up to that far.
Yeah. So I ended up even relocating from town to come and finish my education in the village. Of course, in the village there was no that pressure and stuff. Kiswahili, I really didn't see I really didn't see it like an uphill task.
And then you see home, people are not that intelligent. So even if you get your 40,
you're
among the top.
It will be interesting because because I remember I moved from Kisumu to some school in the village, and for that whole year I hadn't been in school for term 1 and term 2, and I was just reporting now to school on term 3, now in 2011, not in 2010 at standard 7. Yeah, and I still managed it. I remember a first examination that we did with the candidate class, and I still emerged the best anyway. and so okay, I just love such instances.
Before it is there, I want you maybe to explain to us how you came out of Straight, because you were aware you're a staunch member of Straight, and now we went back to explain what made you to develop into being a bad boy. That is the violence in 2007. So before we go, you going home, how did you just come back and say, I'm back and I want to go back to school? Because you going to the village, it means that you are now back to your parents. Okay, so maybe you can just help us understand.
Well, I was still into the streets merchandise, and I was a streets boy. I think at some point, life as a street child is not so easy, I would admit. And I really struggled to keep up myself as a street child. Because I would be out there in the streets, of course, with my peers and other street children.
Yeah.
But again, there would be our peers who were going to school.
To school, yeah.
Even far away from that, I had my immediate siblings.
Yeah.
You know, who are going
To
go-
school
going to
and
school.
performing well and happy.
And well, I while I loved, you know, being a street child, but it came too difficult for me because at times I would spend 2 days outside, and then the third day I would come home. I would find my dad just came from work, and immediately I would find my dad, you know, back from work. You know, he would be very furious, very annoyed with me, and I really disliked punishments. Of course, that one of the things that, you know, made me to dislike school, because I dislike when I'm punished. So when I thought like I'm going back home and I'm going to be punished by my father, you know, I would rather
Let me
fail
just
to go.
remain here.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
So then while I realized, you know, that I really struggled because while in the scrap metal, you know, thing, you would get a few coins, but definitely I needed clothes. Definitely,
Yeah.
I needed a place to
You
sleep.
needed some good help.
I needed, you know, to have 3 meals in a day. I needed to have good health,
And you needed just to be cared for.
yeah. But then, as we realized later on, God was just with me,
Amen.
and so something came to my mind that I needed to get out of Kisumu anyway. A few instances, we were going home during the holidays, the long breaks, and so as brilliant as intelligent as I've always been, I even knew the way home, you know.
Yeah.
As a young boy, and so
So at home, Shosho alikuwa?
yeah, I had my grandmother and a few relatives of mine at home. So then in one of the instances that I remember so well, while I was still in the streets, I think I just sneaked back home when my parents were not home, and then I bumped into some money that was kept somewhere. I believe it belonged to my dad, and so I picked up 200 shillings and walked back with it straight up to the streets in town. Went to the bus station, and then just boarded a bus back to our home in
the village.
in the village. And so so I was there, and simply that's how I left the city.
So what was your
to go back to the
grandmother's
village.
reaction when you arrived?
Yeah, I remember that evening when I arrived home at almost sunset, and I was coming from afar, and finally it found when, you know, the entire household was seated outside, and so from afar they saw a young man moving close, and so while I was coming nearer, I could hear them say, "Could this be Calvin? This looks like Calvin." And so when I finally read there, it's Calvin.
you.
So like, "How are you here? You know, how are you here?" I say, "Man, I've finally come back home." Of course, you'd lie. I lied that I was really finding it difficult to put up with my parents, and so that was I was home, and I was really determined to be able to continue my education
At
now
home with
from
your
home
grandmother.
in the village, because that would be, you know, manageable to me. And so as it appeared, really.
Your father came?
No. My mother actually came home, you know, to come and pick me back, to take me back to town again. And so she took me back to town. Yeah, by the way. And I went back to town, and I still went back to the streets. I didn't go back to school. So when finally my mom then realized that I could manage
Let
it
them try
in
home.
town, let them now officially bring me home. And so I was transferred home. That's when I came and joined up in Saturday 7.
Okay.
And that's when now I committed, you know, of course with no pressure, no Swahili thing, no that go-getting attitude. And so I managed to finish my study 8 there in the village, and I secured myself a place. in a prestigious high school equally in Siaya County.
Okay.
And so that was it for my primary life. When I really got into when I really got into when I was getting into high school, by this time now I had lost my dad. And so getting the provisions to be able to allow me being the school was a bit of a challenge. And I remember like well by this time I was grown up, and the meaning of life was really coming so clear, so clear.
And being that you've experienced also the other part of life, you see it in a different way.
So then I really had to rejuvenate my moves and my attitude towards education. And so for some part of it, when finally my family left in Kisumu, came to join us back in the village. And so to me it was like I was cornered. Like I couldn't run away now from my family again.
And hakuna
street home. So I just have to fix myself, to own it up and just be able to go to school, because that was the order of the day, even at home. So that's how I was there. I managed to go to school, though with a series of struggles here and there, but then I managed to get through to Form 4.
Okay, what was the experience of life, being that you have said your father was not around?
Quite a bit of a challenge, because at times you could lack provisions. At times you could lack pocket money, and just like coming to terms that finally this is here. The
and
entire situation was not so pleasant.
My concern is, from the past you said that you went to the street because of the concern of you were not struggling, but there was no finances. And now here, when this time in secondary school where even provision was a struggle, did you come to a point of maybe thinking or coming to a mind of, what if I go back to the street? Am I quite good?
That didn't really happen, because I was lucky enough. By the time that I was in term 3 or Form 1, I was lucky to secure myself a scholarship.
Okay.
That was able to finance me, to school me for the 4 years. And so progressively I did experience much challenges.
Too much struggle.
But it was a real struggle at the beginning, because I was beginning from zero actually. And so I had to scale up myself, to provide for everything. But everything happened. The challenges were ran out with, and I got through to
nice.
Form 4, and I managed.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, now after Form 4.
After Form 4, it happened unfortunately again. But by the time now I was getting out of school, I had again now lost my mom, and so
you are totally
I was a total orphan anyway, and I still continue to be. But then
you have Jesus Christ.
Well, that comes. But a good thing, by the time that I was joining Form 1. In 2012, I had given my life to Christ, so I was born again.
So you are not total orphan.
And I was a good boy.
You have a father.
I have a father in heaven. Anyway, but that was it. So I got myself introduced to Christianity, and that's when now the story of resilience and transforming back my lost stature actually started to degenerate and to come back. And so by the time that I was getting done with school in Form 4, I think I was grown up, and I was fully an adult. And so I really didn't struggle so much to reason with life, I really didn't find it challenging, like to accept certain occurrences in life, but all I saw was a reason to keep moving on. All I saw was a reason, like it's very possible to be able to, you know, to
rise
to
again.
come back again, you know. And interestingly, it really meant and spoke much to me that, you know, it can never be lost.
Yeah.
At a single instance, it can never be lost at an event. I remember in high school where I joined, I was even joined to my, you know, to my estate mates, my peers, those whom I had dropped out of school and
you
left them in school. Yeah.
And you came back.
Yeah. Some of them we even met in high school, and it was just awesome. It was like, man, we thought you left completely, you know. Others were like, we thought, you know, you perished into the streets business, and you know, we were getting to touch base while we were in high school, and all of them were just amazed. Wow. Interestingly, others I even came to meet them in campus, and it's like, man,
so you still
close to 8 years, so we went back to school, you're still there. Yeah. And so
how do you feel when someone asks you that, to remind, for example, let me say today someone meets you and is like, I thought you went for street boy for good, like, so you mean you are back? Does it make you feel bad of being a street boy, or
no? Really,
it's just okay?
In my own opinion, I have loved being asked such kinds of questions, because they are the negative.
They're the things that make.
But of course, what scares you is you see me in the positive. So it's like I thought you were in the streets, and then you're seeing me, you know, coming from a lecture room. I thought in the street. So what do I really have to say? Because how you are seeing me explains it all.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't really labor much really explain like this and this what happened. Of course, they'd be eager to know like what happened.
What happened? How did
Where did you go to? Like how has it been? How was it? Yeah. And I was like, man, I went to the village. I schooled in the village.
Did it all.
I went to high school.
And
I passed the exams. Today I'm in the university. So like, come on, this is unbelievable. But that is it. That was the entire situation.
And by the way, have you ever thought of maybe going to the street and just talking to those street boys at one point? Like, umeikuwa na hiyo baada na you came out from there and you're just okay.
It continues to be a burden. It continues to ring in my mind. I continue to cross thoughts concerning that, but I have kept it so clear to me. Its time is coming.
Okay, that's amazing. Because sad things, sometimes our experiences, we should use them to impact the world and just make people know that we came from here and it is so possible. So that is maybe one of my requests that I can make through this, that if you're considering it, it's very important, and I believe it will do a tremendous thing out there. Okay, thank you. That was just an highlight. So campus was now just good, just interesting, just everything. Yeah. Because one, I have known that I'm left on my own, so I've got to to be up to task. I really have to rejuvenate that go-getting attitude that I hated when I was a young boy. You know, I really have to put myself to speed. I really have to set myself because that's the only probable way that I can make it. Yeah. And so when I secured a place into the university, I was lucky again to secure yet another scholarship in the university. They was able to take me for the 4 years. So then, so you people enjoyed in this JKUAT?
Yeah, we really enjoyed in JKUAT. No, personally I enjoyed because rarely did I lack. You know, my school fees was paid in time. Was paid for an entire year, you know, at an instance, and so the business that was left for me was just to be able to school, just to be able to school, to be able to school, and to be able to school, and that's exactly what I did. So then, that is literally how it has been for my life, and getting back to the gist of it now, resilience. It's a total comeback. Yeah. Because for one, I really even doubt if my parents would have been there, they would have really believed that this is me.
This is the Calvins that alikuwa na
perhaps 18 years later. as my friends, reacted,
Mm.
I think even to them, they really struggled to come to terms with the fact that today
You're a
this is the
changed
Calvin
person.
that we
Yeah.
that
At
we
some
see.
point, even you are needed
Yeah.
as a Christian
Yeah,
team.
yeah. Even myself at times,
Mm.
I've had all the reasons to encourage myself because it at times appears to be like a dream to me that
Mm.
today,
Mm.
24 years now, is this really me?
Mm.
And what might have happened?
Mm.
Because I look at it entirely,
Mm.
and I had the potential to be a gang leader in the
Mm.
streets of Kisumu.
Mm.
I had the potential,
Mm.
to be a thief,
Mm.
to be a robber.
Mm.
I had the potential
Mm.
even to perish and to
Mm.
lose my life in the
Yeah,
2007
in the-
election skirmishes.
Mm.
But then I got through all this.
Mm.
Of course, I really didn't know that I was getting out of them.
Yeah.
But this vision came to me, when I finally was introduced to Christianity.
Mm.
And when I finally decided to give my life to God,
Mm.
having known that, it's really Him
Mm.
that has really made me, to escape all those few traps
Mm.
that I have mentioned. And so when I came to this realization, to this reality,
Mm.
I decided to give my life to God.
Wow.
And so that's when the action of
Yes.
resilience in my life actually began to take suit.
Mm.
And I really enjoyed it, as a born again, individual.
Mm.
And I engaged with other born again individuals in high school.
Mm.
We went out for missions, for conversions. We had times to pray. We had times to to share the word of God one with another.
Mm.
And so I got myself grounded spiritually,
Mm.
and I was so growing in the faith.
Mm.
To the point that when I prayed to God, actually,
Mm.
I realized that God was really so mindful about me,
Yeah.
because in all those instances that personally I lacked,
Mm.
I think in high school I remember the exact place when we actually met to pray. And I really didn't know how to pray, but I would mention a few things to God,
Mm.
and then they would really come to be established.
Wow.
I remember an interesting event when I received my calling letter to join campus.
Mm.
I really didn't know where to start from.
Mm.
But then, I kept praying to God, and I got my first 2 years scholarship,
Mm.
and I managed to come to the university.
Mm.
At second year, when it was coming to an end, I was troubled, like, what next for me?
Mm.
And I kept praying to God,
Mm.
and another set of 2 years scholarship came through.
Wow.
And so I just loved being in the Lord, because the results thereof, the fruit thereof, I could see them and I
Amazing.
could enjoy them. And
Wow.
so even in school, I met Net Ministries Trust,
Mm.
where I served as a member, later on as a leader and as the chairman.
Mm.
And I just got myself getting transformed, getting made new
So
day and
salvation
day.
has
day
contributed
and
a
day.
lot of who you are
And
today.
so salvation is the story of my resilience, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, because from all bits of traps, to the kind of a person I am today,
God has preserved you.
God has really preserved my life, and God has really been able to bring me back to feet again.
Wow. So just as we finish,
Yeah.
I just want you to speak to someone that is feeling that if it is resilient, anafeel ameshakuwa resilient ya kutosha and they can't do it anymore. What
Yeah.
can you tell them?
It's I would say a fall away at an instance
Mm.
doesn't guarantee a continuous or a future fall away.
Mm.
It never ends at a single event.
Mm.
And any other thing, every other person can have a snapshot of it,
Mm.
and then be able to judge, to determine, and to decide.
Mm.
It never happens that way.
Mm.
The best would be just to be able to believe and be able to know
Mm.
that I'm in this situation because this is the particular time that I'm in it.
Yeah, it's
But then
just a
again,
moment.
but that again doesn't keep you away from advancing into other opportunities.
Mm.
The thing that is there, the only best assurance way that you can understand this.
Mm.
Look at my life.
Mm.
Relate me with being a street child.
Mm.
Relate me by making headlines in the 27 post-election violences.
Mm.
Relate me by dropping out of school.
Mm.
And then today I'm a university graduate. Then it is true practically
Mm.
that resilience is real. You
Yeah.
can come from scratch.
Mm.
You can find yourself somewhere.
Somewhere.
You can come back from a fall
Mm.
and rise again to your feet.
So
It
there
all
is hope
happens.
at the
It all-
end of the tunnel.
There is hope at the end of the tunnel.
There is
Sure.
light at the end of the
There is
tunnel.
light and hope equally at the end of the tunnel.
Okay. Well, that's amazing. That's amazing, guys.
Awesome.
I feel maybe there are a lot of things that maybe he needs to share with us.
Yeah.
But I feel again that this is enough dose for today. Otherwise, this is Calvin's, guys. I hope I may share. hiyo story yake yenye ameshare is so much impactful and will change our dimension, more so to the parents that are feeling like their kids are not the expectation of what they prayed for. Or from Calvin's story, it's like is that he just changed by himself. So what we want to encourage you, please just continue praying for your kids, continue being positive, and for those kids that are struggling with some things out there, look at Calvin and have hope even at that moment, because there is always light at the end of the tunnel. Your dream is not dead unless you let it go. So don't let it go, but hold on to it and fight against every odds of life to make it to be that which you want to be. Otherwise, once again, thank you so much for tuning into Life Plus Show. We love you so much. Continue subscribing, continue sharing our videos, continue commenting, and just allow this channel to grow. Thank you and have a nice time.
Bye bye.